Alright, so hopefully this chat is working and you guys can hear me, so I don't know who's watching. Say hi. Oh, this is just to test you guys so you understand. Instead of just like testing random nothingness, I thought I actually put something up on the screen and show something that's actually going on, and this is actually live. And if you don't believe me, I'm going to start wiggling my mount and we're actually looking at the sun. This is actually happening right now. Focus is a little bit off. Seeing is not super fantastic right now. It's kind of deteriorated a bit. Well, let's start from here and work our way down. There we go. So basically there's quite a good active region right now happening on the sun. It's actually a sunspot as well. Not all active regions are whatever. Hey Sean, we're actually doing a test, to be honest. It's actually my Quark Gemini using the Esprit 150 on the EQ8 EQ8RH Pro. My god, that's a lot of words. I decided to turn off the webcam so you don't see my ugly face. Well, you can't because I'm hiding in the shade, so I just look like a silhouette. So who wants to see a prominence? And if you don't know what a prominence is, it's the things that stick out on the edge of the sun and will probably cook a hot dog in half a second. Anybody? Anybody even on? Hello? Duh. For those of you who don't know who Sean actually is, he does a lot of solar imaging as well. So surprise, surprise, he's on here. I think you own a whole bunch of stuff, don't you? You have like a solar wedge, you got one of the Coronados. I think you got a Solar X3 or something? Or something. So if you haven't checked out his stuff, you can... Is that Steve Ramsden? No. Ah. Or is it? Similar name. And there's Dave Albers. Hello? Why am I waving? You can't even see me. So yeah, who wants to have a look at a prominence? Because I kind of know where it is. Let me speed this up a little bit, otherwise it will take us forever to get to it. Oh, it helps if I go into prominence mode on the Quark. This is a Gemini, just so you guys know, so it does have a slider so I can pick between the two. Believe it or not, there really is going to be a prominence right here. Just got to reset this real fast. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. There she is. So I'm just going to expose for this so you guys can see it. There you go. It's quite a little juicy one. That's basically what a prominence looks like, or one of the prominences that is on right now. Now remember folks, this is a test, this is not actually the event, we're just testing here to make sure all of this works for tomorrow, because I don't want this thing to explode or have problems, or you just need to know there's a backup of a backup of a backup. Oh, I should really show you the sliding thing. So on the Quark, on the Gemini Quark that is, there is a slider that goes between prominences and chromosphere, and you do have to adjust the exposure accordingly when you actually utilize the slider. So right now we're obviously looking at a prominence, and we're actually in prominence mode, and if I was to slide it to chromosphere, you can see the difference. It pretty much disappears within the same setting. Now of course, for some of you who understand how to use the quark, you can make it show back up again by just simply bumping up the gain or increasing the exposure time, but that's not really the right way to do this. And of course, we can actually look at the surface. Since we're actually in chromosphere, we should probably see what else is going on. I already know there's not a great deal going on. Let me get the exposure just right. So 75. Yeah, seeing's probably took a nosedive, unfortunately. So this is the active region that we were looking at just a moment ago. I'm just going to set the exposure so you guys can get a real good look at it. It's kind of difficult on a trackpad. I'm used to using a mouse. Oh, start again. So we get this dialed in a little better, so we can scoot around the sun and have a look at what else is going, if there is anything else going on, and I can tell you now there isn't. That should be pretty good. Let's just double check that focus. The seeing condition did kind of drop a bit because I can feel the breeze, and you can see this. You can see how much rippling is occurring when we're actually out of focus. And we should be pretty close there. It's not perfect. Is this a live view? Yes, it actually is a live view. This is really happening. Well, by the time you're watching this, you're probably seeing a delay. I don't know what the delay is, a couple of seconds I'm assuming. And then of course, if you really want to get nerdy, the light we're seeing is 8 minutes old. In other words, what you're seeing happened 8 minutes ago. There we go. Yeah, seeing is kind of deteriorated for me here. It'd probably get a little bit better in a moment. Hard to get focus on this guy. Oh, I'm not going to chase the seeing now. It's pointless. If you guys have any questions, feel free to send me some now. Be more than happy to answer a couple of questions here and there while I carry on testing this. So where is everybody from? The equipment, it's basically a Daystar Quark Gemini, a Spree 150, and the Skywatcher EQ8 RH Pro, which is the new mount that they just came out with. I don't use a front mounted ERF, just in case you guys were wondering. I actually have a UV-IR cut filter that acts as an internal ERF. Usually when you have apertures as big as this, like a 150 or something like that, you should really be using an external ERF, but hey, it's my stuff. I can break it. It's okay. Gosh, somebody's all the way down in Australia. My God. I was actually out there in Perth quite a while ago. Spent roughly 6-7 months over in Australia. I was working on a TV show. Oh, somebody from Saudi Arabia. Yeah, hello. Should really thank the Saudi Arabians for the cheap gas prices right now. ERF, energy rejection filter. Normally when you do anything with solar, the amount of light that comes pouring through the scope and hitting the camera is actually quite excessive. So what we have to do is we need to reflect as much of it as away as possible. So what an ERF essentially does, it limits or pre-filters the light coming in. So we only receive a certain part of that light. Now with the UV-IR cut filter, the IR part of it, because it's a IR blocking filter, so to speak, the heat is reflected back out of the front of the telescope. An ERF literally means energy rejection filter. It doesn't need to go in the front of the objective. It can actually go anywhere within the chain before the blocking filter. So obviously I have the camera, the actual Quark itself, that has an extension tube, which is where the UV-IR cut filter is attached to, and then obviously the telescope, and there's nothing on the front. Like I said, the scope belongs to me, so I'm not really concerned if I blow this up. Which I should really look at what the temperature is right now, because I do monitor that at the very least. It's 42 degrees, it's not too bad. And seeing is just getting worse. I mean, usually from an imaging session standpoint, I would have given up by now. I mean, this is just pretty bad right now. I didn't go to Sydney because I was actually stuck in Perth the entire time. And for those of you who've never been to Australia before, on the east side of Australia is pretty much everything, and then the west side there is like nothing. It's just literally just Perth, and that is it. Yes, I am in California. Kind of out in the suburbs, or the sticks, or the boonies, or whatever you want to call it. case you're wondering, I haven't actually polar aligned. I literally just threw this thing down and just guessed. Oh, is that the Ron Forrester that I know of? Hey Ron, how are you? Yeah, I was originally going to do the East Coast, actually. I actually wanted to go to Brisbane, to be honest. I know people say, why? Oh boy, seeing is really bad all of a sudden. Just out of interest, I mean, obviously seeing conditions permitting, but how is the quality? I mean, you can kind of tell by looking at the text. Obviously, if the text on the right-hand side of Sharp Cap doesn't disintegrate, then obviously it's relatively good in terms of the quality, but seeing conditions right now aren't exactly the best, probably because my scope is starting to heat up a bit. So you kind of get this soft look, and it keeps looking like it's out of focus, but it actually isn't out of focus. That's actually seeing. Yeah, it's terrible right now. I'm glad you're enjoying the Comet Hunter. I expect to see some pictures from you at some point in time, preferably sooner rather than later. Oh, if you guys don't know this, tomorrow is going to be, I wouldn't say it's going to be super special. Is 480p what we're going to be streaming? No, I'm just doing 480p for the test sake. I'm actually on Wi-Fi. I know that if I try to do this on Wi-Fi at 1080, it's going to be awful. There should be a little icon in the bottom right hand corner that you can switch it to 720. I think it can go up to. You just have to play around with the settings on YouTube. Reason being here is YouTube has purposely put everybody at 480 because they're actually being strained because, hey, who knew people had to be stuck at home? Oh, anyway, going back to what I was saying. So tomorrow, well, tonight and tomorrow night and probably the next night, tomorrow is supposed to be the peak of it. Venus is actually in the Pleiades star cluster, or the Seven Sisters star cluster. So if you guys have a telescope or a pair of binoculars, or you don't have anything, just go out and have a look. You cannot miss Venus. It's one of the brightest objects in the sky at night, if not the brightest, compared to the moon. It's going to be quite interesting, so I'm going to be set up tonight for that, and probably tomorrow after the actual show event live stream. I've got to find a spot in the garden somewhere, because unfortunately I have a hill and a house that's going to be in the way. So I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to be able to see it, but fingers crossed I can see something. I will be using a smaller scope because I want to fit the entire thing in the field of view. Or I might use the Esprit 150 and put the focal reducer on it from Star Arizona. They have the Apex reducers. That's like a 0.65 reducer, so I'm able to use that still. James, strangely enough, this is before I actually got into astronomy. I actually didn't know anything much. I mean, I knew a little bit about where things were, but I didn't know, and I didn't really think about it to look at stuff like that. But there was this one night where me and a friend were out, and I said to him, hey, look up, and I said to him, you see that fuzzy blob that runs across the middle? I said, that's not a cloud, that's actually the Milky Way. We went during December, so it's summer for you guys, and You can see Orion and it's upside down and everything, and you can kind of look in towards the galactic core area. I don't remember seeing the two clouds, the small and the large cloud. Yeah, I didn't remember seeing any of that stuff. I wasn't doing astronomy at that point. Uh-oh, it's just stopped again. Yeah, it's a shame that seeing kind of went a bit south all of a sudden. Just going to quickly look at a live shot of the sun, seeing if anything else is happening, and the answer is no. So yeah, the only thing that seems remotely exciting is this active region, unfortunately. As you can see, I'm just going to scoot around. It's not a great deal going on. I'm actually looking at the chromosphere here. There's not a great deal going on. Oh yeah, I bet there's... I kind of wish I could actually image it. I mean, I've been imaging everything in the Northern Hemisphere for the last 3 years, and I'm not saying I'm bored of it. I now look for different things that people probably aren't familiar with. Okay, so I'm going to end this part of the live stream. I am going to switch over to a different machine because I have to test a different portion of the presentation. So you guys won't be able to hear me because I don't think I have a microphone attached to that computer. But you can certainly watch what I'm doing if you're really that interested. I might be able to plug in a microphone because I do got to test that at some point today. Alright, I'm going to end the stream. It'll probably pop back up in about 30 minutes. I got to throw the cover on the mount and take the scope off because I can't let the thing bake in the sun, because I do need to use it tonight, because I do want to see where I can be to image Venus and the Pleiades cluster all lumped together in one ball of goodness. And who knows, I might win an A-pod again. Actually, I doubt highly, because everybody's probably going to be doing the same shot. Alright, we will be back in about 30 minutes.